Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Super Feeler podcast. My name is Lori, and I'm so excited today to be joined by two representatives from the Sashbear Foundation, which many of you probably know about, but very proud to be a Canadian foundation all around borderline personality disorder. And it's almost Borderline Personality Disorder Awareness Month, which means it's almost the season for the amazing Sashbear walks. So today I'm joined by Lynn, who is the founder of Sashbear, and Sandy, who is a family member who has been involved in Sashbear for a long time. So with that, Lynn, I'm wondering, do you want to tell me a little bit about the Sashbear Foundation for those of us who haven't heard about it?
Yeah, thank you, Laurie, for sure. Like when Sashbear Foundation was created, I guess almost 15 years ago now. And then we're a charity, recognized across the country, representing families and really representing and being the voice for so many family members that have a loved one with borderline personality or emotion dysregulation. And Sashbear is recognized today by empowering families with skills, like evidence-based skills through our different programming and providing hope through our workshops. So we're very excited that with all the good work we do with Sashbear.
Yeah, it's such great work. Do you want to just share briefly about, I mean, it's hard to share briefly, but a little bit about how Sashbear came to be and your own journey with this topic?
Yes. Today, like Sashbear, like I said, represent family members across the country. And then what we want to do is to bring access to affordable program, so then they have the opportunity to regain balance in their life through strategy and skills through our programming. And how it all started is, I guess, almost 15 years ago. My daughter was really struggling with her heightened emotion, ups and down that she was going through on a daily basis. And Sasha was an athlete hoping to make the Olympics, and because of her difficulty regulating her own emotion, it was giving her some difficulties, and we were trying to find services for her as she had done a suicide attempt, and she was trying to find something as well to try to help her dealing with this. And it was really, really difficult, to the point that the only service we were able to find was in the US. And after 5 weeks of treatment, we were told that she needed another 6 months, and this is where we could not afford it. And we had to discuss it and to let her know that we needed to bring her back here to Canada. And she knew very well that there was nothing available to her. So at that point, she felt like a burden. She felt that, like in her own words, like she said in her journal, that she was a damaged good. Not that we felt that she was a burden or a damaged good, but this is when then she took her life. And this is at that point that we decided that we needed to do something here in Canada for the family supporting a loved one with BPD or emotion dysregulation. So they have access to education, to skills and strategy, so they could support their loved one more effectively. So this is how the foundation came about. Like I mentioned, what we're doing now in Canada, we try to fill the gap of where we felt that services weren't for us or for our daughter. And as we were developing this, we realized that there were so many other families like ours, right? So this is how we use our voice to become the voice of so many families, to do advocacy, to raise awareness, and at the same time to bring some evidence-based program to those families, so then they can become part of the solution of their loved one, that they can become one with their loved one, for their loved one to regain a life with purpose, a life that is worth living, and the same thing for the family members, right? Because often when we look on the when we look at the situation, both are suffering, and then often is that we don't have the skills or the understanding of what our loved one are going through, that we're sometimes doing the worst thing, or we're not doing the things that are effective, but with the best intention in mind. And this is what Sashbear works really hard with our families, with the program that we offer to transform this landscape and to become part of the solution as a family member.
Thank you so much, Lynn, and for sharing Sasha's story. I know you said she felt like a burden, but her story has helped so many people take that burden off of the families and themselves, right? So I'm sure she's up there looking at us, just so proud of all the work that you're doing. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Sandy, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your story? What brings you to this space?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So my daughter, my loved one was diagnosed with BPD back in, I believe it would have been 2020. I had never heard of borderline personality disorder when she was diagnosed. And I mean, like everybody else, there were years had gone, like, there were several years gone by where we didn't know what was going on. I couldn't understand what was going on in her. She had such big emotions and, you know, looking to help her and all the misunderstanding. And then once she was diagnosed, we started looking around for help for her. And a friend of mine, I was talking to a friend of mine, and she mentioned Sashbear. And so I reached out to Sashbear and went through the Family Connections program. And it was just such a life changing, it's such a life changing thing. I can't even explain it. So it helped us understand so much about what was going on, and gave us the ability to kind of, get a better connection. So yeah, I'm, out of the tragedy of Lynn's story, there's so many families that have been helped, and we're one of them. So yeah, that's how I ended up coming here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sandy. And I know your daughter said that you could come on and share about your experience as well, which is super important just to have
Yeah.
that consent. How old was she when she was diagnosed?
She would have been about 20.
Okay.
Let me see. So she's 26. She's almost 27. So she was about 20, yeah, about 21, 22 when she was diagnosed.
Yeah, that's pretty standard. I think I was 19-ish. So, yeah, a relevant story for a lot of people for sure.
Yeah.
And you've been pretty involved in Sash Bear since you found out about it. So I guess that's been what, 4 or 5 years. Do you want to talk a little bit about the Family Connections program, what it is, and how Sash Bear has been able to help you?
Sure. And as Lynn said, it's evidence based, and going through the Family Connections program, when I went through it as a participant, I was, the fact that you're talking to people and you have people that are there that have been through this and understand what's going on is in itself just remarkable, because you just have no idea what's happening, and it's so confusing, and there's really no support, because nobody can really understand this unless you've been through it. So when I went through it, I mean, there was no doubt in my mind. My belief is, when you go through hell and you succeed, you need to go back and help other people come through. So there was no doubt in my mind that I wanted to be more involved with Sash Bear and help more families. And in doing that, I've just seen how many people are helped by this program. And you see the relief in people's face and their whole physiology when they start to see that, oh my goodness, there's other people going through this and they understand. And, you're not talking to people who are telling you like, well, you just need to do this. And you just need to tell them to smarten up, and you need to be more whatever, the stigma and the misunderstanding around it is so huge, because it's such a, it's such a struggle to understand what's going on. So I think that's the beauty of Sash Bear, is even just the community around it is amazing so people to understand, and you can talk to them and they know what you're going through right away without having to explain so much.
Absolutely. I mean, the value of peer support is just so strong. And I think for something as stigmatized as borderline personality disorder, And honestly, there's so much stigma on the family members too of people with borderline, and that must feel very isolating when somebody that you love is being diagnosed.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that you were able to find family connections. Lynn, we all know the value of peer-led programs, but I'm curious, have you seen any particularly aha moments or like any stories that really stand out to you about the power of peer support programs that Sashbear provides?
I'm gonna maybe think of what Sandy said regarding the program, and I think one of the very first course that we offer in the community, because Sashbear, when we started, we were doing it more in collaboration with institutions. So and then in 2014, we decided to go into the community because we wanted to remove all the barrier, if you want, for like applying or subscribing or to sign up for Family Connection, as it's a free program. And then I remember the very, very first group that we did in the community. It was here in Toronto. And after the first class, and we know it's a 12-week program, the people got up and applauded. And
Oh,
then the very first week, it's mostly like sharing and giving them like an overview of the program and telling them that we're going to be sharing skills. And then we were curious and we asked them, I said, it's just the beginning, almost saying, we're going to learn so much more besides today. And I said, what was so impactful for you to get up and applaud? And then they say, wow, for the very first time, we felt that we weren't alone, that we were in an environment that was safe, that we weren't being judged. And then the people teaching the program that are like equipped with information and knowledge as much as a professional are peer like us. And this is where like they were so in awe. And that was like one of the incredible moment. And another one I could say too is like I mentioned, like it's a 12-week program. And around like just before like the week that we do validation, we provide them with all the skills and tools and strategies that they need to almost for them to regain some balance in their life being before being able to validate their loved one, right? We always say, if you're not balanced, if you're only on one foot, how can you really be able to listen to your loved one and be able to absorb the information they provide you without judgment or, like in a wise mind? And then this is where we see the shift into the family member saying that instead of saying, I'm here to fix my loved one, is my loved one need my support. And it's incredible, like the shift that we see around like after the week 6 of the program, just before going into the validation. And it's always like as a facilitator, a leader, like it's like giving us like a validation that this works and it will make a difference in our participants' life, right? So, and one thing too I wanted to add is we always try to improve or reach out more people for more family members. Our motto is always like no family left behind. And if someone needs skills, we're here to provide them with any skills. And then this is what we've been trying in the last couple of years is even adding a value as a peer-led. Because let's say if we're providing the program for the LGBTQ community, now we have leaders that are allies from this community that are providing the family connection. So the connection is even stronger. We're doing the same thing too with the substance use. So the people that are offering family connection are part of this community in the sense they have a loved one that are struggling or like have the substance use like disorder. So we're always trying to tailor a little bit more what we're offering, so it's connecting even more with the participant, because we know that if you feel understood, then it's easier to open your mind and absorb the information that we're providing. So we're very, very proud of what we're doing.
Yeah, oh, you should be proud. I didn't realize that you had expanded to more of the substance use area as well, which, of course, in the toxic drug supply that we're struggling with now, couldn't be a more important time to be building community around the family members of those who are struggling with substance use. It's such a grassroots organization, and I think that's why it's had so much success, right? Like Sashbear, I would say, is, I can't think of a Canadian charity that is more known about borderline personality disorder than Sashbear. And I know you're known all around the world as well, but I mean, we're on literally opposite ends of the country. And, you're one of the first things that comes up anytime anybody that I've spoken to in Canada talks about resources, and so appreciate what you do. Sandy, you're a family connections facilitator. Is that right as well?
Yes.
Nice. What has that been like for you, going from participant to facilitator?
It's actually been amazing, and I really enjoy it. I love to see how much it impacts the families, and I love to watch the progress, from you see, and every time I do it, I remember when I went through it, the very first session that you come to, you're so lost and so scared. And you hear these people who are going through the same thing as you. And then each week, when you do, especially the 12 weeks, you see people come back, and each week they're a little lighter and a little lighter, except for
Hmm.
there's a couple of sessions that are very heavy. And so you can see all that. So it's so amazing. The other part that I love about it is that, I'm still working on my skills. It's not like you take family connections and then you've got it and everything's okay. So I keep working on my skills. And I know when I first started doing it as a, junior co-facilitator, I would always pick something that was a little bit out of my comfort zone, because I knew if I had to teach it, I had to learn it. So it made me go in and learn it a little bit more. So even now, and I think this is probably my fifth or sixth time co-facilitating, there's still skills that I'm working on. And so that's the beauty of it, is that you continue to work on your skills while you're helping other people. I learn as much from the people in the groups as they learn from me, to be perfectly honest with you. So I just love to see that, and to, if I can help a few more families not go through the same pain that we went through, I'm all for it.
Absolutely. And I know that you're doing that through sharing today, through all of the work that Sashbear does and your leading of family connections. I know for me, I feel the same way about skills. I've been practicing dialectical behavior therapy for almost 10 years, and every single conversation I have about dialectical behavior therapy, I learn something new or build a new connection or go, oh, you know what? I kind of discredited that at the time. And now I'm ready to come back and think through
Yeah,
it. So there's
absolutely.
truly nothing like learning with peers. It's so, so valuable. This episode's going to come out at the end of April, and May is Borderline Personality Disorder Awareness Month, which is very exciting. Lynn, I know that Sashbear does walks all across Canada, and you just mentioned that there's an extra special walk happening this year outside of Canada. I've been to the ones in Vancouver or in British Columbia. They're usually in Burnaby or Surrey, and I've gone to all of them since they've started, and I'll be at this one as well, and I think I'm going to be saying a few words. Do you want to talk a little bit about what these walks mean, how they started, the uptake, anything you'd want to share?
Yes, for sure. Like we're so excited to have so many walks across the country this year, and we're even expanding. There's one, like we say, in Strasbourg in France this year, so that's amazing. And the reason why we started those walks was really for two reasons. One, to reduce stigma regarding borderline personality disorder and mental health in general. We know there's so much stigma, and we felt that by doing this walk is a nice way to bring people together. When we talk about the family members, the loved one, the clinician, the researcher, the business partner, people from the community, the school, all together, showing that we're supporting each other to remove the stigma surrounding borderline personality disorder and mental health. Because we know that this is often what is preventing us to seek help, right? And then I know this is what that was our situation. When my daughter was struggling, my best friend didn't even know that my daughter was struggling. And even Sasha, when she was struggling, she was helping so many other people, but no one knew that she was struggling herself. And when she had passed away, like people were in shock to hear that how much she was struggling. And it was because of stigma, and especially being an athlete, she didn't want to say that she was struggling. And this is why we want to say like a checkup from the neck up is as important as a checkup for a broken arm or something like that. And then Dose Walk is doing this raising awareness on mental health to show them that it's okay not to be okay, that we're all together, and together we'll be able to remove those walls and to be able to stand tall and to show that we are great people, right? And together, think about like people with BPD, how much they can offer, like how
Yeah.
much, like when we look at empathy, like we say, like the best people as social worker and things like this are often we say people with BPD traits, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and this is where we have to look at what this population can offer us. And then for us, we can become better people too by embracing, like you're saying, like the skills we're learning through DBT and things like that, right? Like better empathy and compassion, listening more actively to people, right? To remove the judgment where the judgment don't need to be, and have an open mind. How amazing this is, right? And this is the goal of Those Walk, bringing people together. So this way we can show the world that it's okay when sometimes we're struggling. And my last thing I want to say on this is sometimes when we say, like, for example, if I compare like one with a car, we take a car to a tune up, right? We have the car do some tune up and we're all excited. The car is perfect. We bring it home. The next day it breaks. And we say we did everything. And as a human being, our brain is so complex. You know, even though if we do tune up or whatever, at some point, maybe some event will happen that we may break down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
And it is okay. It makes sense that we may have some struggle, and we have skills and tools and evidence-based treatment to kind of put us back together and continue what we have to offer to the world, right? So I find like having a diagnostic as BPD has such a great prognostic, right?
Yeah.
And people need to know about this, that it's okay. Like when we have BPD or any other mental health like disorder, things can get better, and we're here together and we can go through it and come back with a life with purpose, right? And this
Life's
is
worth
what I
living.
hope the walk will do.
Yes, absolutely. And a few things I want to say about what you just shared. So, I mean, yeah, there's so much value to having strong emotions, right? That's why this podcast is called Super Feeler, because it's a superpower to have such strong emotions. There are some negatives to it, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, there's so much positive that comes from being able to feel love and joy and passion so strongly.
Totally.
And yeah, and I've been to the Burnaby Walk I think 3 years now, or the Vancouver or British Columbia Walk 3 years now. And what's been so cool is seeing the numbers grow and seeing people coming with others. So it's, the first year it was like a couple of individuals that were there. I mean, to be fair, the first year it was pouring rain. I don't know if you remember that, Lynn. It was the worst May day I've ever seen. And then funnily enough, last year it was so hot. So it was you can never predict weather in British Columbia, but just a couple people that came because they'd seen it in the newspaper, or they were wondering, or their family member recommended it. And then last year, I've spoke to so many people that were there for the first time as well, but were coming with their kid, or they were coming with their parent or their boyfriend or their family member or their friends. And it just really shows like how this can expand once people understand the good work that's being done. And it's just such a joyous day to be celebrating the beauty and the strength of people with borderline personality disorder, dysregulated emotions, and their families and friends. Such a powerful moment that when I was diagnosed, I never thought would happen, because there was so much shame and so much misunderstanding. Like you said, the prognosis is good when you have borderline personality disorder. That's not what you're told when you're first diagnosed, and when you look into it, you're told it's all downhill from here, and it's just not true. So thankful that you've kind of started these walks up.
I like when and it is so not true, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
important that we loud and clear on this message, right? And yeah, like
Absolutely.
I remember that first walk, it was raining, but you remember the one we walk, it was sunny.
Yes, it's true. Yes, it's so true. Yeah, it all worked out. It was pouring rain at the beginning, and then once we got going, it was beautiful. So
Since all the work we've been doing so far, and I have to find wood somewhere, we never had rain while we were walking.
wow, amazing.
And think about how many, like over 13 years of walks across the country.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. You also have some other things that happen kind of simultaneously to BPD Awareness Month. Like, what building is it that gets lit up in orange?
Yes. So, like, we were able, like, I'm glad you bringing this up. Like, we were able with public health, like Santé Canada, to have in Canada finally having the month of May recognized as BPD Awareness Month. And what we've been doing with this is like having some landmarks being lit in orange, and people can participate and going at the location of each event. Like if we look at in British Columbia on May 7, we have the BC Place and the Vancouver Convention Center that will be lit in orange. And then we have the Cell of Lights on Canada Place as well on May 9th. So then normally we have people there. We ask people to come and celebrate like that day, because it's so important, like I said, to raise awareness on this, and like you said, like to show that we're a community like high spirited, like friendly, family friendly, right? That we do activity, and then we want to raise awareness on this, so this way everyone that is in need of reaching out can do it, because we know that there's one person out of four that is struggling, and then only 1 out of 5 are often just reaching out for services. And then we know that 4 out of 5 of them, when they reach out, are getting better. So we need to change this. Like there's too many that are not reaching out, and they need to reach out, because when they reach out, they will transform their life, right? And get better. So we're hoping to, by having those landmarks being lit across the country. Actually, we have the Confederation Building in Newfoundland. We have the CN Tower here in Toronto. We have some building in Alberta, the high level bridge on May 30th. So across the country, we have plenty of landmarks that will be lit in orange to this awareness month of BPD.
Just, those are huge landmarks. If you're not from Canada or not from any of those provinces, like BC Place, CN Tower, the Convention Center, those are like massive. To be able to advocate so strongly that you were able to pull that off is no small feat. So it just goes to show the power of strong advocacy like yourselves is so important.
We had Niagara Falls last year in orange. This year is the Peace Bridge in Niagara that will be lit Fort area. So we're looking at even more place, and we're looking at the Olympic Stadium in Montreal. So we're having more and more, right? We really want to have this orange wave, right? And just to share with you as well, like when I was in Brazil, I just came from a training in Brazil and talking about the family and work, the impact we have on families over there. And we were was telling them that our color is orange, right? We say like it's bringing like warm and brightness into maybe some darkness. And they say, Len, it's even more when we look at coming from DBT, orange is very dialectics. I say,
It's
yeah,
true.
tell me more. I say, yeah, like you saw, like when you have like the black and white or whatever, you have kind of the orange. And then when you look at the day and the night, when the day rises in the morning, the sky is orange. When the day ends and the night start, the sky is orange. So it's a nice color, bringing both as a, synthesizing like the both part of the day. I said, oh, this is so clever. So I'm going to use it. So then thinking of my friends in Brazil, now I'm bringing this as orange as a dialectical color. So I love that.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I hadn't thought about it like that. I was thinking more just the combination of colors is what makes orange. And so cool. That's awesome. Sandy, you've been to some of the walks in the past, right? Maybe for the last couple of years. What have they meant to you and your family? What's your experience?
I think the walks are just so incredible to see that, just that sea of orange is, I mean, every time I go there, I just cry because it's
Yeah.
so heartwarming to see that, like we talked about the community in the family connections program, but to get out and actually see the like so many people together that are walking together and that are all, it's always such a joyous day. Everybody's so happy. And I think I've been to three walks so far, the last three, or maybe the last four. And even in Toronto, which is typically a big walk, the numbers just keep getting bigger and bigger. There's two things that stand out to me about the walks, and what they mean is, I know last year at the walk, there was a lot of people because it's a busy place, that walk, and just people who were in the area saying, hey, what are you guys doing here? What is this? And to be able to talk about Sashbear and just bring that awareness about what we're doing and why everybody's in orange, that to me was huge last year. That really stood out to me, that, just because it's all the awareness, right? That's what we're talking about. In family connections, we talk about the awareness. You need to observe you need to be able to observe before you can change anything or even become aware of it. So the more families that hear about it, the better. The other thing that really stood out to me was the, politicians that got up and talked about it. And just to have people in that position to get up and say, hey, like, my family is struggling with this and I'm committed to making change within the government. That is massive. That's what we need, is people who understand. I mean, let's face it, like you said, Lynn, 1 in 4 people will have a mental health issue in Canada this year. That means every single family is affected by a mental health addiction or illness, something like that. Everybody knows somebody in their family who is suffering. And to be able to get that out and get people to be aware of it and to understand that there is help out there. You're not alone. There's help. Get involved. It's huge. That's where it all starts, right? We need the awareness, and we need people to talk about it. That's why, I feel like I'm so open about this, because how else do you affect change if you're not going to talk about it? And it's a little bit tricky sometimes, because we're dealing with a family member who may not, it may not want, for obvious reasons, their story told. But there's other ways that, even if that's the case, there's other ways that you can bring awareness, so I think it's so important. Those are the two things that stood out to me.
Yeah, well, and your story is important too, right? It's not that this affects just one person. I know my family is deeply affected by me living with borderline personality disorder, and especially untreated borderline personality disorder. My family will probably forever be affected by that. And while, they don't share my parts of my story, they share their own parts of their story, and that's also very valid. And you also said, 1 in 4 people have a mental, or sorry, yeah, 1 in 4 people have, a mental health issue at some point. The population, like, borderline personality disorder is a lot more common than people think it is too. I think it's up to 6% of the Canadian population might have borderline personality disorder. And it's so underdiagnosed, so much stigma, so people don't share. Those numbers are probably underestimates. So in any room of 100 people that you've ever been in, there's a handful of people at the very minimum that are living with it directly, if not affected by it. So it's just the small scale of those people coming up and chatting with you and saying, hey, why is everybody wearing orange? All of that makes a really big difference. Lynn, can you, or either of you actually, so I'm just thinking about the actual walks themselves, making sure that we can get as many people who listen to this podcast to go to those walks and support. The one in British Columbia is in Burnaby on May 10th, so I'll be at that one. There's also other super feelers that I know are going to that one, and I have a team called Super Feeler that you can join, so I'll put all of that information in the chat or in the show notes. But curious if you want to just quickly kind of go through where the other walks are taking place and any information that people might want to know about them.
Yeah, like we have, like you mentioned, the one in Burnaby, like there will be Saturday, May 10. So we're excited that you'll come and say a few words, and then that you have a team, and hoping that many other people will sign up for this one. I think registration start at 9, and then the opening ceremony is around 10:30. We have a walk as well, and if we look in Ottawa, I think this is the very first walk of the season, actually, in Ontario. And then this year as well, we're adding a walk in Saskatchewan and Saskatoon. And this one will be on May 24. We have one in Stenbach in Manitoba. This is the second year. And then we have the walk in Toronto, May 25, and Edmonton on May 30th. This one will be a walk and we'll go as well. I think we'll combine it with the bridge that will be lit up.
Right.
So it will be very exciting. We have one in St. John, New Brunswick, which is a new one this year on June 8th. We have St. John, Newfoundland on June 14th, and in Montreal in September. And then, like I said, we even added a walk now this year in Strasbourg in France too. So, and looking at maybe adding one next year in Brazil. So it's very exciting to see that people are really embracing what we do. So I encourage everyone to sign up. We have early bird if you want to sign up early. Come with a team, with a friend, bring a family member. Like Lori was mentioning, is really like a meet and greet with people. Like I call it a festival of life, right? Really embracing each other to show that together anything is possible. And as we're wearing orange, like we're really making this wave of orange, right? Showing the whole world that when we connect, when we work together, when we collaborate, that we can have so many walls falling regarding stigma, and raising awareness, because the key is education, right? I always think of cancer or HIV. We needed to educate people. I remember cancer, like we were calling the C word, right? We didn't dare saying anything. It's the same thing with borderline or emotion dysregulation, right? Like once we know what is like the up and down of emotion and how to manage it, we can offer so much to the world, and we can work together, right? And this is where we want to show people, and by coming to the walk and supporting the cause, even if you don't know anyone, support the cause on mental health. And I think nowadays it's even more important than ever to show that we are together supporting each other, right? And then for those that cannot go to a location, you can do a virtual walk. You just go to sashbear.org. You'll find the information. You'll find the information about the landmark as well, if you want to join us there, and help us make a difference. Help us raise awareness. Help us remove stigma, And not only that, to show our loved one that they're not alone, that we understand what they're going through, and then together anything is possible. I remember one of the walk one year, like a bit like Sandy was saying, we have that wave of orange, which is very close to a major road in Toronto. And someone on a Monday morning had sent us an email that they weren't participating at the walk, but they saw like an orange wave of people, and they were so curious that they stopped and asked what that walk was all about. But this person had BPD.
Oh, yeah.
So then on the Monday, they sent an email and they said, I just wanted to let you know that I was driving by the boulevard and I saw this orange wave. And I could not believe that all these people were walking for me to make a difference in my life. And this is why I'm inviting anyone that can to come and join us, make that difference. You may be contributing in saving a life. And for this, your impact is incredibly important.
Absolutely. And you can also donate too if you can't attend. If you're not in one of the countries, or yeah, I guess countries now, countries or provinces or territories that has a walk, right? You can still donate to the cause and support the amazing work that Sashbear does. So I'll make sure I have all of that information in the show notes, because I know listening to it and seeing it is two different things. But I really, really hope to see everybody in the Burnaby Walk. It'll be so much fun. And if you're there, please do come up to me. Sometimes people are like, I don't know if I should say anything. And I'm like, yeah, no, of course, please. It's so fun to get to know that people are listening and that they're interested. So really appreciate it. Before we wrap up, is there anything that we haven't talked about that either of you were really hoping to chat about today?
Yeah, I think the only thing I would say is just, and you guys touched on it a little bit, is that there's so much beauty in BPD. And I know, sometimes I think we focus a lot on the negative side of it. And there is, I would just love to see people focus a lot more on the positive side of it, because there is so many positives to it. The feelings are so big, but I know with my loved one, I can't think of someone who's more loving, who's more empathetic, who's more, will drop everything to help somebody, and is my biggest teacher for sure. Has taught me so much and has allowed me, you know, helped me to grow as well. And there's just so much beauty in that. And I just, thank God for her for sure.
Well, you just stole my final question, Sandy. That's what I was going to ask, is what your favorite thing about people with BPD is, or the borderline in general. So you've answered that so beautifully. Lynn, how about yourself? What's your favorite thing about the BPD community, what you've seen in your life so far?
I mean, for me, like everyone I encounter, I exchange a conversation or do activities or initiative with them. Like for me, like I find I learn so much from them, that they have so much to offer, in the sense they are incredible human beings. And then it allow us to become better people, as well, in a sense that when we learn to find a common ground to exchange, right? Oh, wow. Like it's incredible, like what they're offering, right? And this is where, like, I find, like, I really want to thank you for what you do, because to bring the education, information. So this way they have a platform where they can thrive as well, right? That they have so much to offer. Like, I don't know how many, if you look at Marsha herself, right, had BPD. And then, like, at some point, they wanted to keep her in an institution and die there. And then she asked her brother to help her out, to take her out, because she wanted to do something about people that were going through something similar to her. And look what she accomplished in life, saving and contributing at changing, transforming people's life. And then this is where, for me, I see when I connect with someone that said, I have BPD or BPD traits, I want to know more. I want to connect with them, because I find they can offer, or they offer so much, right? Like we said, the empathy, the compassion, they have the affinity to get us indirectly, like to connect and see what we're feeling ourselves, right? And they can really like offer so much to the world. So I'm grateful. It's kind of sad to say that I would have never asked to have be on this path today. The fact that I lost my child to suicide, and I'm so thankful. On the other hand, like this is a dialectics, right? That it transformed my life, and I'm hoping that I can make a difference for other people, because people with BPD can offer so much.
Thanks so much, Lynn. You have absolutely changed so many lives, and
So many.
The number is endless, right? If this work is going to continue for so long, and we'll see just a little sliver of the impact throughout May and June. So thank you both so much for coming on. I will make sure I put all of the information for signing up for the walks in the show notes. And it's just been a pleasure to chat with you again, Lynn, and to get to know you, Sandy. So thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you,
Awesome.
Laurie.
Have a good day. Thanks.